still saying to you, it takes two. Now, I don't mean you to run out and get another husband. That may or may not be what God has for you. But what I am saying is, you only have certain qualities in you. If you're a woman, go find your daddy and see if he can help you. Go find your pastor. See if he can help you raise her. Go find that good deacon, that good brother in the church to be that male role model. That's important. That's why in the Youth Challenge program we have mentors. Because we know that parents cannot parent alone. It takes more. When God speaks in the scripture, train up a child the way in which he should go. Notice he didn't say, Mom, Dad. When he speaks of training up the children, we all have a responsibility to make sure Mr. Man grows up into a man and not just a big boy. And so when we look around and say, what happened to our children? I like to rephrase that question and ask, what happened to you? All right. We all share responsibility to make sure that every member of St. Thomas has a responsibility to make sure that those little boys and that little girl, young girl back there grow up into the man and woman God has ordained them to become. And so instead of us talking about what a bad parent he or she is, where are you? Why don't you try to help teach? Why don't you try to help encourage? Why don't you try to help train up a child in which they should go? It is our responsibility, all of our responsibility, to parent God's way. Now, what do I mean by parenting God's way? If you don't mind. The water, please. What do I mean by parenting God's way? And see, the reason why so many young people end up the wrong way is because we've been parenting some other way. These sociologists and psychologists books, people that don't believe in a God. Some are downright atheists. And we don't know who they are. We go buy their books sometimes. And we read and do it that way. Or we'll do it the way our mamas taught us. And no disrespect, I got a beautiful mama. She did a great job raising me. I was born in 1959. I'm old, aren't I? No. Now the old people say no. The young people say yes. And the point I'm making is, when I grew up, it's totally different than how these young people grew up. Y'all don't even listen. They don't even listen to music. I barely know what an iPod is. I just figure out what a CD is. And so, the way that my mama raised me will do so much. But it takes a different thing. And even look at how God does it. I know we like to say God doesn't change. And I understand. But you all have to understand that God may not change, but he turns pages. We no longer worship God in a tent like they did when they came out of Egypt. They no longer worship God in a tabernacle like they used to do. God moved and died. In the New Testament, they were worshiping in houses, then in churches. And God said, now you must worship me in spirit and in truth. We have to change where and how we worship God. And therefore, we must change how we parent these young people. And the way your great-grandmama did it, it worked for you. But it don't work for you anymore. I know when we was coming up, I was having to wait almost an hour and a half, 2 hours after church to eat. Because mama waited, she got home, then she started cooking the food. Even if she already cooked the food, it still took 45 minutes to warm up. Now when I get home, I sit in my big chair and my wife just brings me my food in 5 minutes. Because she just pops it in the microwave and bing! Dinner is served. No, what I'm saying is the food has already been cooked. And all I'm saying is pop it in a microwave. And we like to think about the good old days, but nobody wants to go back to the outdoor restaurant. Nobody wants to go back to live without the microwave. So why do we want to go back and parent our children the way you did it 50, 60 years ago. We need to parent God's way, and God's way, that's an unchanging way. Because God's Spirit will adjust to the time and lead and guide us. We got to parent God's way. And we will look in the Bible, we will say the Bible don't really give us a whole lot of instruction about how to parent. But what God led me to do is look at how Jesus parented his children. Oh, I lost some about how Jesus parented his children. What children Jesus had? Jesus had 12 children called disciples. And if we look at how Jesus raised and cared and loved those 12, we'll see how we'll get some ideas and suggestions on how we should parent. First of all, as parenting God's way, we need to realize these are not your children. Yes, you may have labored for how many hours? How many hours you labored?
30 minutes.
Ooh, good. That's all that. 30 minutes. She ain't working with me at all. Somebody give me some hours you labored. 36. Did you say 36? Pray for her.